All right, let's do a fast round here. A couple of quick ones. Environmental control, so important in phase one. Basically, to paraphrase it, limiting your exposure to high calorie tempting foods to make it easier to choose the lower calorie options. So Tony, is environmental control still important in phase two?
Let me think about that. That was a nice trick question, Rick. Yes, I think it is not only as important, I think it's more important now, because now the door to other foods has been cracked open and we're dealing with human tendencies and, you know, a lot of things that we need to learn. And so what I love about the shift in my head in environmental control in P2 is, as you said earlier, the abundance component. Like, I like to look at what are the things now that I can build with, you know, and build into my routines. And again, having been on diets throughout my life, I feel liberated from the deprivation mindset. And I feel like P2, when you go in carefully, methodically, all the things we've said before, it can be kind of a junket. You know, you go bit by bit and find things that you can include that make for great flavored foods that help you manage your weight. But it's this shift in, at least for me, it was a shift in my mind to what are the things I can bring in. So additive EC became just a huge muscle to build. But of course, the backdrop is always, okay, let's be honest with ourselves, what still needs to be honored from a subtractive standpoint. So I think EC is threaded throughout the entire journey.
Absolutely. That additive EC, or additive environmental control, just to put it simply, making sure the foods that you want to eat and that will support your goals, that you have them and they're in your environments. That's a big one for me. That takes care of so much. When I make sure I'm doing my shopping and have all of the foods, all of the foods that will support my healthy eating routines, it's just so much easier. Kim, what else would you say about the importance of environmental control, whether it's additive, bringing positive, healthy foods in, or limiting exposure to tempting foods through subtractive EC?
I would say if you don't control your environment, it will control you. You know, it's if you put yourself in a tempting situation, and knowing yourself and what situation you can put yourself in is really important. And also, as you said, adding things to your environment. So making sure that you're prepping your food and having things available. You know, for me, just working from home, I've come to that realization again. You know, going into the office, I was prepping my meals every day to bring to work. And here, you know, I've had to make sure that I do that too, and I don't leave it up to chance and for what my husband is making, you know, for lunch, because he's here too. You know, it's so important to control your environment.
Yeah, I'm laughing because your environment controlling you. It doesn't matter who you are, does it? Whoever you are, whatever your history of managing your weight, successfully or not, this is just a human condition. If you've got tempting food and it's in your environment and you're trying to not eat it, you're probably going to lose more of those battles than you're going to win them. Adam, anything before we move off environmental control?
Yeah, the two I always think of are people and places, you know, and I think Kim just hammered the environments, and, you know, and I mentioned this earlier, you know, create your own food. You know, I think a lot of people in phase one would say for the last 3 months of phase one, I made everything. They prepare their food. And that's one that you want to be mindful of, because as Tony mentioned, the options go, oh, maybe I can get chicken at this restaurant. And then it comes back to Kimberly's point, you're putting yourself in now a different environment. And then the other one that I think is kind of a hidden one is, you know, when patients first start or people start the program, they have conversations with friends and family. So my part two is people. You know, as soon as somebody sees you bite into that chicken breast, that conversation of, oh, you're like a lot of diets out there, oh, you're done with it. And you almost have to re-engage those conversations the second time, like you're starting the program over again, because that leads to more conversations at that crucial point, which we're obviously spending time talking about.
Gosh, that's such an important point that you bring up. For some reason, well, I think it makes sense. Many people will hesitate to advocate for themselves in this area. If there's this feeling like I'm imposing on others. What are your thoughts on that, Tony, in terms of just sort of reinforcing what Adam's brought up here?
Yeah, actually, I just got kind of excited about two things that were just said by Kim and Adam. If I could start with that and then I think circle around. the people and the places concept within the environmental control context, what struck me too is that I think we're talking now about variables, things that are mixed in the mix. And when you have folks around you who think now things are different for you, what I think we're faced with ourselves and our clients is this idea of how do I manage those variables? And I think this is where, as humans, we sometimes fall into the binary sort of all or nothing place.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that is another reason why P2 is so hard for folks, because it's in the gray, it's in that middle zone, and that's uncomfortable, especially initially. So when you two were talking about people and places and whatnot, I was thinking that what I see is not just myself, but clients as well, who maybe find themselves biting into that chicken breast or whatever it is, and someone saying, oh, now you're eating other stuff, then when the environments become more challenging, I think we have to always ask that question, is like, what is the best I can do with the environment I'm in and the tools that I have, right? So if we're challenging ourselves to at least figure, do some problem solving versus fall back, because Adam, when you gave that scenario, I picture it's sometimes hard to speak up for yourself. And it's sometimes easier to say, oh, what the heck, and then we're back to old behaviors. But if we tolerate that discomfort and go, wait a second, there might be something I can do here that's in the middle. And that's where I think P2 lives, is in the middle.
Yes.
We learn that new skill of identifying sort of those not A++ answers that we might be trying for, but something that will give us the best scenario possible. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Absolutely.
It does. I mean, so much productivity comes from just recognizing that if I can make some changes to the environment, be it actual foods or a conversation with people to support me in that endeavor, boy, is that a productive action to take, because the environment, you said it, Kim, the environment will control you if you're not controlling it. Really, really well said.
I'd add another thing though. I think you said conversations with others. I would add on a conversation with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
That other piece, which again is strange for some, new to others, and yet I feel like it's so critical.
Yeah. I think a particularly fertile conversation with oneself, I know you will agree with this, Tony, is the idea of revisiting why you're trying to lose weight and maintain a lower body weight in the first place. Those reasons are there for everybody, and they are compelling, but sometimes they're a bit elusive when you're in the trenches and maybe your environment isn't supporting you. I might have people start the conversation with yourself with, what is my why? And really reset that foundation. And then from there, start the whatever problem solving needs to happen.